On this episode of the Mothman of the Bible Belt podcast, comedian Jeromy Moore is back, and he brought along his undeniable comedy tour comrades Lee Mays and Jason Evans. The comedy trio discussed their April 1st Mountain Roots Community Theater gig in Belle, West Virginia, lack of comedy clubs to play at in West Virginia, and how political correctness is impacting stand-up comedy. Coming up next.
Welcome to the Mothman in the Bible Belt podcast with your host, Buck Fantastic.
Girl Scout cookies.
The undeniable comedy tour trio of Lee Mays, Jeromy Moore, and Jason Evans are my guests on this week's episode of the Mothman of the Bible Belt podcast. The comedy trio discussed Kathy Griffin's 2017 publicity stunt, Roseanne Barr, and whether or not you can do stand-up comedy and not be racist. Now, let me introduce my guests. The working-class comedian, Lee Mays' comedy career earned him multiple appearances on TMZ Live. He's been featured on E! News, The Huffington Post, Yahoo, been in an independent cult film called Black Mamba, and has played the Laugh Fest Comedy Festival. Mays has opened for Donnie Baker, Greg Hahn, Etta May, and James Inman. He's performed in Ohio, West Virginia, and all over the Midwest. Ohio native Mays started his comedy career in 2012 at the Newport Funny Bone in Newport, Kentucky. Kentucky comedian Jeromy Moore began his comedy career at the Funny Bone in Huntington, West Virginia in 2007. He's played improvs in Florida, West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. Moore has opened for Jennifer Coolidge, Michael Winslow, Gallagher, and Leslie Jordan. Southern Coalfields of West Virginia bred comedian Jason Evans got his start at the Huntington Funny Bone in 2007 as well. Evans has played comedy clubs up and down the East Coast and in the Midwest, opening for such acts as Bob Zaney and Theo Vaughn. Join me, your host, Buck Fantastic, for an all-new exciting episode of the Mothman of the Bible Belt podcast. It's eclectic chit-chat of otherworldly origins. Jeromy, Lee, and Jason, welcome. You guys are playing the Mountain Roots Community Theater in Belle, West Virginia on April Fool's Day at 8 p.m.
That's right.
What can people expect?
About 90 minutes of probably the best stand-up comedy show you will see in the tri-state area. We have a combined experience of about 30 years.
What style of stand-up comedy do you do, Lee?
I'm mainly a joke writer, but I got, several bits that I toss in and out. They're basically about my upbringing and my life, my perspective on things, but I just make it very, very, very ridiculous.
Lee, how did you guys meet?
I met Jeromy several years ago after I first started in Southern Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky adjacent. I met Jason through Jeromy. I can't remember where, if it was on a show or another open mic or something like that. But
Lee, you are the brains behind the Undeniable Comedy Tour. This is your baby. What inspired you to do this traveling comedy tour?
In 2016, there was certain comics out there getting opportunities that I felt they didn't deserve. And I know that sounds a bit elitist, but I've seen some comics on stage and they're just not, in my opinion, just not funny. They can barely do 5 or 10 minutes. And I was sitting there, I was about 3 or 4 years in, I think. And I was like, well, let me see what I can do. And I gathered a few other comics under the banner, the Heathens of Comedy. And we just did shows wherever we could.
We were the studs of comedy at one point, weren't we?
Yeah, that was in South Point at the old Whiskey River.
Yeah.
That was
I remember that place.
Yeah, that was another comics baby, unfortunately. But when I moved up here, I just decided to just take matters in my own hands and see what I could do. And fortunately, I'm very blessed to have opened for some of the nationally touring headliners, work with who I want to work with, like Jason and Jeromy. And I'm proud to say through word of mouth that a lot of my shows are either packed or sold out. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. You know, sometimes you run into things like, you know, local festivals or holidays or whatever. That's just the game. But, you know, hopefully we can, you know, pack the Mountain Roots Community Theater here next Saturday and give them a show that the tri-state area hasn't seen in comedy on this level.
Is it difficult finding venues?
It can be. What I would say is that you have to deal and know how to deal with rejection. You'll get a lot of no's. You'll get a lot of ghosting. You can send someone an inquiry and they'll say, hey, yeah, we're interested. And what's your fee? And you give them a fee and automatic ghosting, which is nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of venues have, you know, certain set budgets for entertainment, or sometimes they, you know, the pandemic has wiped out a lot of small and local venues to, you know, for entertainment, and that's just the reality of it. But you know, I've played in gay bars, I've played biker rallies, I've done theaters, clubs, you name it. And a lot of, and fortunately, post-pandemic here, there's a lot of people, you know, coming out and wanting to see good live entertainment, whether it be on the local level or on the national level.
Lee, I was watching one of your videos on YouTube. You said you grew up poor with a deadbeat dad that didn't pay child support, that fat shamed you. Did that mess you up growing up?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I haven't met a comedian yet who hasn't been, you know, traumatized in some form or fashion. I mean, everyone has come from, you know, either a broken home or just a broke home. If there's not any sort of, you know, kind of darkness or edgy material in any comic can't draw on, and then you really don't need to be in this business, because we're all kind of messed up in some way. I mean,
amen.
I have, like I've said before, you literally have to take rejection all the time, whether it means, you know, getting up on stage and bombing, or having several venues tell you, no, we don't want comedy, man. We only want acoustic guitars and Oasis covers and Dave Matthews cover bands and all that nonsense. But yeah, a lot of people that I've worked with have heard about or listened to on podcasts, you know, that they come from, you know, a lot of bullying and abuse and things like that. So it really shaped me. But, you know, as hard as those times were, it also makes you a stronger comic. It really depends on how you know, use that to define your act, your material, and things like that.
Have you taken a shit on your dad's grave yet?
No, not yet. I don't think in the afterlife he's into drum porn. So,
Oh,
Lee, does your teen daughter get irked that she's often material in your stand-up comedy routine?
She doesn't know. But I'm sure she's looked her dad up a time or two. She's on TikTok now, so you know, I have to, you know, as a pushing 50-year-old dad, I have to contend with that my daughter is maturing and everything. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I don't need to hear or see any of that. Just leave it all to my girlfriend and grandmother and her mom and everything. You know. One day I walked into her watching Harry Potter, and I was like, oh, cool, Ava, you're into Harry Potter. And she was like, yeah, I watch Harry Potter because Draco's hot. And I'm like, oh, shit.
He's not wrong.
I don't need to hear this.
He grew up hot.
yeah, but he aged like, have you seen him now?
Not recently.
Yeah. He turned into Old Spice.
But I'm still the youngest comedian on here.
You are, but you have the most gray.
Shut up.
A few years back, Kathy Griffin posed with a decapitated bloody head of then President Donald Trump. Did she go too far or not far enough?
Oh, I think that could go either way. art is art.
Yeah.
And I don't think she went too far.
Could she have at least stuffed tampons in his ears?
One would hope, or up at the nostrils, to prevent the Adderall from going up there.
If you have the Secret Service visiting your house, then you've probably gone too far.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. Like, I agree with Jeromy, but I'm also kind of leaning towards Lee's way as well. Art is art, funny is funny. One thing I'm a strong supporter in is equality and freedom for all. But Lee's right. If you got the Secret Service coming to your front door,
but only because you're a pissy little bitch that can't take art.
No. What I'm saying though is I feel like she handled it wrong by trying to be a victim. Own it up.
Oh yeah. Oh, she was totally wrong trying to be a victim.
Yeah, like,
but
I'm so sorry. I would have stood firm. Like, this is how I feel about that man.
Well, if you remember a few years back, Ted Nugent, draft dodging pedophile, right wing,
yes.
He also made a veiled threat to then President Obama and had the Secret Service pay him a visit as well. I mean, you can say, this is the thing that people do not get. Free speech, it means that the government cannot interfere in, whatever it is you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with the Ku Klux Klan, but they have a right to protest.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
To flip them off and everything. So with that said, there is free speech, but sometimes there is also consequences to free speech.
Exactly.
And I don't like Trump. I think, he is a detriment to the free world.
Humanity.
As it is. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't like something or someone and you're a comedian, make it funny. It wasn't funny. As much as I hate to say it, he was a sitting president, and she could have said something or did a special that, made it funny. Trump sucks, blah, blah, blah. She just could have made it funny, not holding a severed head.
Right. Like, yeah, it was.
But the whole thing of saying that, Barron was so traumatized by that.
He wasn't traumatized.
Break.
No, he was jerking off to Stormy Daniels porn.
Thank you.
Do you all think political correctness is putting comedy in a nut bracket?
Yes.
Yes. But you can get by with it. Political correct. I can get by with saying faggot.
Mm-hmm.
Lurch and Lee could not, but I can.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the biggest question a lot of comics face these days. There are right-wing comics right now. In fact, I saw a clip of one here not too long ago. He kind of just started out his special coming out and said, "Yo, man, you want to be offended?" This is a white dude, 5'5", talking like he's from the mean streets of Charleston, West Virginia. It was just ludicrous and ridiculous, right?
One shot from the ghetto.
We're not ghetto.
I'm just going to say his name. His name's Matt Rife, and he sold out a comedy. He sells out, and I've never heard of him, so I just decided, well, let's check him out. And it's some of the most ridiculous nonsense that I've ever seen or heard, just because, saying, well, woke this, and my pronouns are blah, 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 and things like that. It's the new, what's the deal with airplane food? We get it. We get it. You're edgy. You're this. You're that. Just make it funny.
Yes.
But as far as PC goes, I think you can be as edgy and as offensive as you want if you make it about yourself, or something. If you have a bit about a minority or something like that. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you guys are this, kind of a little elbow nudge, but just don't go out and, Michael Richards everything and just say the N-word over and over again, or, be anti-Semitic or whatever. But I just think there's if you can toe that line, so to speak, and, just make it funny, but not too offensive to a certain marginalized group or whatever, then you could probably get away with it. But a lot of people have come down, and I'm sorry if I'm blathering on, but a lot of people have come down on Chappelle for, being transphobic. And personally, I just don't think he's transphobic. He may be transphobic in real life. We don't know. And honestly, he doesn't pay me anything to give a shit. But if you really listen to his specials, he's not being transphobic. He's just coming from his experience as a black man who has dealt with probably all sorts of people his entire life, because he's travels the world and things like that. But this is just my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But he has never said anything in any of his specials that even warrants being transphobic. Now, if he came down and said, called him, slurs or whatever, that's a bit different. But coming from your own perspective in dealing with, any type of group, even white people, I call white people crackers and honkies all the time, just because I just think they're funny words to say. But I can.
That got me in trouble on Twitter.
Really?
Really?
It was Facebook. I called someone a cracker on Facebook 2 years ago, and I was banned for a week. And I'm
Only a week?
Yeah, a week.
God,
See,
I've been banned for a month on Facebook.
A few
I'm
times.
still under investigation.
I talk about WSAZ Anchorman, and I get in jail for a week. And I just said he had a horrible face.
Tim,
You're not wrong.
Tim here. Yeah.
You had to say it out loud, didn't you?
On Facebook, Tim Muir has a punchable face. And the Facebook algorithm said that was violence, put me in jail for 3 days. I come out of Facebook jail and I go, and I post, I can't believe Facebook put me in jail because I said Tim Muir has a punchable face. They put me back in jail for another week. And so it's an ongoing joke that I have this vendetta against Tim Muir and that he personally put me in Facebook jail.
But, with all the PC stuff, this has been going on with stand-up comedy, ever since Carlin, George Carlin, the 7 words you can't say on television. And I think people, in a way, need to lighten the hell up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on stage joking about something, that's one thing. If you're on stage, or anywhere, saying, all these things like, the N-word or slurs, attacking a marginalized people, then yeah, you're kind of a piece of shit. But, most comedy that I've seen these days, really, even with some of the right-wing comics, they don't do a lot of things that would be considered offensive. They're just kind of put in that group these days just because of, I'll use Roseanne as an example. She said some, pretty crappy things while quote unquote on Ambien or whatever excuse that she did. And she was put in that group just because, she was supposedly on drugs when she said a bunch of nonsense. But, at the end of the day, she's a celebrity. She's a millionaire. I'm not. It's just my opinion. So, it's whatever. But we need comedy these days. And I just think people just need to lighten the hell up. Unless a comedian is pointing their finger at you and say, you're this, you're that, then, lighten up, man. We
Agreed.
We only live once, and it's just comedy. And I'll tell you this much right now. If a movie like Police Academy or Revenge of the Nerds, the movies that we grew up with, would come out today, those movies would be picketed for days. The last great movie that was even remotely offensive was a movie called Tropic Thunder with Robert Downey Jr. starring in blackface. And it wasn't It wasn't even remotely racist. It was just basically the context of an Australian actor who's just so up his own ass.
Right. Just method acting going too far.
Yeah, just losing all that, he couldn't, he can do this without backlash. That's the joke. They were
right.
Hollywood. And it's one of my top 10 comedies of all time. Unfortunately, a movie like that couldn't be made these days. We're stuck with crappy Marvel movies like the Eternals and Ant-Man and the Yellow Jacket or whatever.
How did Tracy Ullman get away with doing blackface on 2 series, one in the 90s and another one in the 2000s, State of the Union, and the first Tracy Takes On.
Unfortunately, I can't speak to that because I have no idea that went on. But
Yeah, she was
I
Shanisha
now,
Turner on Tracy Takes
Yeah.
On, and she was Chanel Monticello on State of the Union.
I know about the one in the 90s. I didn't know about the one in the 2000s. I don't have an answer on that. Like that is definitely not something that would happen today.
Yeah, no one was
God,
picking
no.
up their feet and like saying this is wrong, or
Right.
I guess. Well, in the 90s, it was like predated the internet, so no one could complain about anything and everything back then. But if it happened in the 2000s, I'd probably say, well, it probably predated social media. Really depending on what.
And no one saw it. But
Margaret
it
Cho
depends
gave her
on
hell.
how she did.
Margaret Cho gave her hell when she played Miss Ning Nang Nong, the Chinese person on Tracy Takes On. But she was one of
No, I
few.
don't remember that.
Wow, you're going way deep on us.
Well, I haven't even heard of that.
No, I know what you're talking. I mean, I know the shows you're talking about, and obviously I know who Margaret Cho is, but I don't remember that bit.
I don't either.
She dressed up. She get face and everything. I mean, you could not. She actually looked like an Asian American, and she had it down to the to the T. But Margaret Cho was one of the few that complained,
that called it appropriation, which is what it is.
Oh, the cultural appropriation.
Yes.
But Tracy Ullman, she made fun of everybody. She was everything. She was
Right.
a white woman. She was a gay man. She was a black woman. She was a Chinese woman. She was a Russian madame. She was everything under the sun. I mean, if you're going after everyone, do you cross the line?
I guess it really depends on context.
Yeah, it would depend on the context.
Yeah.
But again, I am a strong supporter of equality for all. What's good for you is good for me. And what Lee said, if funny is funny. Tennessee Tramp, Janet Williams is one who explained it to me. Funny is funny is funny.
Yes.
Did you all see Roseanne Barr's Fox Nation special?
No,
I haven't.
I unfortunately did.
I got the 7-day free preview. I didn't subscribe. I just wanted to see how batshit crazy she was, and
she has gone off the rails.
Was it bad?
Yes. And when I say it's bad, and I like Roseanne, sort of,
you can admit it. I still like Bill Cosby. Okay, so
yeah, I do too. I
still quote Bill Cosby himself on a weekly basis. Like that's probably the first thing that got me interested in stand-up was that 1982 stand-up special.
Himself?
Yes.
Yeah, Bill Cosby himself.
One of the things I think is sad about Roseanne is that she was a trailblazer for women in comedy.
Yes.
I mean, she opened a lot of doors for women in comedy in the mid to late 80s, and to see her kind of fall down this right wing rabbit hole is sad. I mean, I know that there's still funny left in her, but I think she just needs to stop watching Tucker Carlson.
Agreed. I mean, and she held the door open.
Exactly.
For comedians, gay comedians, female comedians. She held the door open for us. And then to turn like that.
Yeah.
But her first racist tweet was in 2013. She went after Susan Rice. And then she started tweeting some batshit crazy things about the Palestinians that was beyond offensive. And then she obviously, what killed her career was the Valerie Jarrett tweet.
Yeah.
But then they had the picture of her where she was dressed as Hitler baking little cookies.
Well, how good were the cookies? Honestly.
Yeah, that's a good question.
They looked burnt.
If they were good, I was going to say, if they're good cookies.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they were all burnt, but she was dressed as Hitler.
So it begs the question, is it difficult to be funny and not be racist?
No.
It's very easy to be funny and not racist. I mean, I have a biracial daughter. And there's some jokes that I use concerning being a white dad with a daughter who's half black, and there's a lot. People who know me know that I am not racist. There's a couple of jokes that I use pertaining to race, depending on the room, but it's not nowhere near offensive. I'll give you an example. My daughter one time asked me if she was white or black, and I was like, I don't know, Ava. Let's go over there and ask that cop. See which one of us he shoots first.
Oh,
Oh my God.
wow.
But it's not
I said
racist.
it.
It's not racist because it's topical. You know, especially in these times. So it's from my own perspective, and it comes from a fear that I have that some white bread racist KKK flag bearing cop would do that. And I don't want, and her mother is African American. I certainly don't want anything to happen to her mother or any of her family or whatever. But it comes, like I've said before, it comes from a place that that is from my life. Not many people can relate to that, but in this day and age, when there's so many interracial relationships, same gender relationships, a lot of people can relate to that because people are sick of dirty cops hurting African Americans or even gay people, transgender people. I mean, it happens a lot, and if I can kind of bring light to that through comedy, and if I deem it funny enough, and if it works, then so be it.
Does your daughter have the funny bone? Does she want to get into comedy?
My daughter is a very goofy kid. I would like to say that she gets her humor from me, but she's I see a lot of myself in my kid. I'm very proud of that. She doesn't really take herself seriously, which in some cases is a good thing. But as a dad, I kind of have to steer that ship and kind of get her on the straight and narrow to make sure that she's not working at a gas station or a Sheetz or whatever. It just coming from as a dad, I just want the very best for her.
Have any of you ever tried your hand at Christian comedy? Jeromy.
Yeah, my mom, one time I went to her church and helped an old lady cook a spaghetti dinner. Now, I did not know the next day when I had to go back to help her. Here I came with my knife in its little case. So I look like I'm going to stab a dragon. I am walking into a church. I go in. I end up having to do the dishes. But during the meal, they mentioned they were having a talent show. And my mother, in her infinite wisdom, knowing me my entire life, asked me if I wanted to perform. Inside a church building, I looked at her and said, "What the fuck do you think I'm going to be able to tell?" Inside a church. That's why I had to do the dishes. Yeah, no. Me, Christian comedy. Are you kidding me?
Can you make Jesus and the Holy Spirit funny?
Well, yeah, the only thing I can say about that is he got nailed by 3 men. Please edit that out.
No.
Don't.
No.
I love it. Jason, you're a state worker. Are you concerned about PEIA going up this year?
Personally, no, but I think everybody else is. To me, I'm like, it's just me. My fiance has her. She's also works for the state and has her own plan, and so I just pay for myself. So it doesn't really bother me if I have to pay another $25 a month. It doesn't bother me, but I can see how it may bother other people, and I agree, and I understand why it's a hot topic for people, especially for state workers. But personally, it doesn't bother me. But also I'm ideal for PEIA. I go to the doctor like twice a year. That's it.
Wow.
Don't go at all.
You don't?
Yeah, because they're going to tell him
No.
he's got to be on medication because he's old. and he doesn't want to accept it yet.
But I'm younger than both of you all.
You're younger than me
Just
by
want
like
to point
2
that
seconds. 2
Y'all-
seconds.
No.
Y'all just need to fucking get it over with.
I tried one time.
He
He
did.
smelled so damn good.
With everyone so offended by everything nowadays, does stand-up comedy have a future?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes. And I'll go one further. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of the right-wing comedians, but I'm also not a fan of the far left comedians either.
Right.
Like, I'm not a fan. And it's not that I'm hating on the millennials or Generation Z or anything like that. I think sometimes you can be too far left.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a fan of that. So and I'm a liberal son of a bitch. I mean, I'm as liberal can be. And I see these far left comedians be like, well, you can't joke about this. You can't joke about that. You can't joke about that. And it all rolls back to funny is funny.
I mean, I did my brother's ex-wife's eulogy and made people laugh. There is nothing that cannot be made to be funny.
100%. Yes.
Do you all have any more West Virginia dates planned for the Undeniable Comedy Tour?
Working on it.
You have some at the Venetian, don't you?
Yeah, I have one at the Venetian Estate in Milton, West Virginia on July 22nd. I'm hosting a comedy show there featuring Adam Minnick and Patrick Madison.
Like I said, I am semi-retired. I only come out of self-imposed exile for these two right here. One
Because
time,
he's old.
I'm old. I ain't gonna lie, I'm old, and but I love these two more than they probably realize, and I do consider them true friends. And so, whenever the two of them like, hey, you want to do a show together? I'm always on board, and I'm not gonna lie, and not just because I'm on this or because they're on this. This upcoming show will be 90 minutes of stellar stand-up comedy. That
Agreed.
it's like you are getting a polished professional show from beginning to end.
Yes.
Checks in the mail, Jason.
We all three old whores.
And y'all are hyped to be playing. Y'all have never played that area before, right?
I have multiple times.
I have not.
Not Belle. I've performed in South Charleston before with Jeromy. That was a
Yes.
that was a hilarious show that night. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when I told that woman that was the first time she ever threw her fork down.
That was an interesting show. That was a long time ago. We wound up doing a show at the Ramada in South Charleston for the Comedy Zone, but it wasn't for the Comedy Zone. It was for a card salesman who invited his clients for a Christmas dinner, and they wanted stand-up comedy, and that was interesting.
Do we have any exclusive comedy clubs left in West Virginia?
Unfortunately, there is not.
Nope.
The last one that I can remember was the Comedy Zone out of Charleston, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, whatever reason that went under, I know the old Funny Bone in Huntington is now a church or a Applebee's or whatever it is now. I don't have any.
Yeah, it's a church. They always were.
But
they were clean people.
It is a sad state of affairs that there is no comedy clubs in West Virginia. I think a comedy club in either Huntington or Charleston would draw business because, unfortunately in that area, and I can speak for that area because I'm from the area, I'm originally from Ironton, Ohio. So, and there is not enough things to do. Aside from, going to the, occasional Willie Nelson on Ice at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena or whatever it's called these days, the Dutch Miller, Kia, Don Hall, whatever, or whoever's sponsoring it this year. I think comedy, and I can speak from experience, all of my shows down there have either been packed or sold out because people are starved for quality comedy. When I say quality, not open mic night on a Wednesday night or a Thursday. A week with comedy.
Hey, I did an open mic last night.
Well, you know what?
And it was good.
No, we're not.
It
No,
was
no,
good. I was impressed.
no. What Lee's saying, and I'm going to back him up on it. We're not hating on open mics. That's where we hone our talent. That's how we
Exactly.
practice our new material.
Exactly.
So we're not hating on it.
Has
They're
anyone
starved
threw
for good
tomatoes at you?
entertainment. Oh God, I wish somebody would throw tomatoes at me.
Yeah, I've never had a.
Bring on summertime, and I'll bring my jar of mayonnaise. Throw them at me.
And put some cracked pepper on top of it.
Are y'all going to see the Southern Mama comedy tour at the Charleston Coliseum in July?
I'm not a fan, but
Jeselnik's actually going to be in Charleston this summer, so.
that one would be better.
I was just curious. You hear a lot of hype about Southern Mama. You also hear about Southern Mama bombing a lot too. So
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can tell you is that all three of us here, we've bombed. We probably bombed more than we've done good.
Oh yeah.
And so, but that's part of the process. You got to learn how to. You work hard.
We all eat a bag of dicks on stage.
Yep. You work hard on this bit, this 3 to 4 minute bit. And you think it's great, and crickets. And you got to learn how to pick yourself back up and move on. And that's what makes more polished than amateurs, I guess. That's what I'm saying.
But does that material that you bombed with, does it work for some audiences but not others?
It can.
It can.
A lot of my stuff, I guess, would be more rooted to more quote unquote Southern audiences, if I'm being honest with myself. But like I said, there's always a certain portion of the audience that would relate to it. They either know someone that comes from, an experience or a life event or whatever. But as in terms of bombing, like Jason said, we've all bombed. Not everyone is going to have a perfect set. And if someone says they've never bombed, they're full of shit. Because everyone,
Amen.
From an open micer who have started out all the way to someone like Bill Burr has bombed numerous times, and it sucks. It really sucks, but you learn from it. You learn how to deal with disappointment, because in show business, whether it's comedy or acting or music or whatever, you are going to have these times where you're not sure of yourself, whether you want to continue or not. And that's just part of the process. It can be demoralizing. However, you just have to stick with it and just hope for the best. I remember a gig that I did with a comedian by the name of Bill Arundel in Western Ohio, and I bombed my ass off. He killed. And everyone came up to him after the show. It's like, you did really good. You did really good. And I was just sitting there, with my, hands in my pocket, looked like droopy dog, feeling sorry for myself, but I learned from it. And another thing that
Bill.
Yeah, right. And another thing that you have to deal with is hecklers. People will want to be part of the show. You get some basic white bitch in there, with her basic white bitch friends, drinking some margaritas and want to be loud and disruptive, that you have to learn how to deal with that, because not every audience is going to be quiet. Not every audience is going to be attentive, and you have to, have some comebacks or whatever in your back pocket to deal with that.
Bridal parties.
Yeah.
Hate them.
Lee Mays, Jeromy Moore, and Jason Evans play the Mountain Roots Community Theater in Belle, West Virginia on April 1st at 8 p.m. The cover is $10. You can buy tickets at the door or online at www.mountainrootstheater.org. All three comedians are on social media. Go follow them. I want to thank my guests Lee Mays, Jeromy Moore, and Jason Evans for coming on the podcast and giving insight into the lives of comics. For Mothman and the Bible Belt podcast outlet updates, guest bios and episode breakdowns, and links to social media, please catch us on the web at www.mothmanandthebiblebelt.com. Thanks for listening.